I swear a lot.
Hello friends, and welcome back to Limbus Company. So, new Intervalos here, isn't that lovely? So, there's a lot of intrigue and mystery, and there always is, to be fair. It's not as if this is a sudden, momentous occasion where it's like, oh my god, we actually have some suspense and intrigue and suspicion out. There always is. There's always something that we're unsure about, or something that seems problematic or concerning or widely relevant, but now there's a lot of things, I suppose. So it'll be interesting to have light shed on literally any of those, but let's be real, what will actually happen is just more mysteries will pop up. So, you know, that's fine too. Twining threads. Well, the music's nice. I suppose these are three examples of the biggest things to happen in Canto 9, yes? Sinclair's moment, Gregor's moment, and Ryoshu's stuff. Funeral. A good start, good start. Well, let's have a look. It's obviously not going to be voiced, so I better fucking brace my throat for all of this. A funeral was held for Martin and the LCE researchers today. I thought I'd seen more than my fair share of deaths throughout my journey with the Sinners, but never before had I witnessed this many people gather in one place to mourn the deceased together. The unfamiliarity made me feel a bit out of place, especially considering none of my employees can die. Am I doing this right? Sinclair, now's not the time to practice handstands, alright? We're at a funeral. Most of the Sinners seem to be feeling that similar sense of being out of their element as well, and none of them thought to dress in proper funeral attire. Some of them were asking Merceau, apparently the most knowledgeable of them all when it came to funeral process and etiquette, all manner of questions for pointers. Naturally, they did this at the funeral, not beforehand, which just made it more awkward. Expressing respect is the primary purpose. Hand placement and gesture are unimportant if that objective can be accomplished. Usually just stand and be quiet is what I've typically done. Hey, where do I put this? You shouldn't have brought your axe. Why did you bring your axe? Beneath the third pillar to the right. Can't any of you quit chattering for 1 second? Have you all forgotten the instruction to carry yourselves with solemn propriety that befits the occasion? Yeah, they don't really do that. Cut me some slack. I haven't been to funerals all that much. We couldn't afford them. I mean, I did tell you to read the manual. I even underlined all the important parts for you. We didn't have many funerals on the boat when I was a sailor. We just chucked them over the edge, and then Ahab pretended they weren't dead. It was weird. Sorry, Ishi, the wall of text was just too much for me. My focus started fizzling out from page 30 onwards. Well, you're doing better than most of the people playing this game, who typically fizzle out at word 30 onwards. Hadn't every sinner here attended a funeral before, back when we set foot in that grim manor in T-Corp? But that wasn't a real funeral. That was just weird. Ah, thou speakest of the funeral held in young Heathcliff's manor, dost thou not? The one bereft of the dead, because no one knows who died except Heathcliff. They're technically correct. Bereft of the dead, I mean someone had to have died because there wouldn't have been a property dispute big enough to involve the Ufi Association's notarization otherwise. I've said this time and again, but it was just an intentional anonymity to prevent family strife. Uh-huh. Intentional anonymity, is it? If the situation was indeed as thou sayest, then there was no helping it, forsooth. Yet it is a pity that the dead wasn't named at their own funeral. This will be interesting. The name of the deceased was... It was Catherine's funeral. She was very dear to Heathcliff. I have thoroughly reviewed the past 5 years' worth of local newspapers pertaining to the matter, yet no such name relevant to the case was identified, manager. Yeah, well, I'm telling you it was Catherine, so shut up. Is that the first time we've told Heathcliff or made Heathcliff aware that Dante remembers Catherine? Because I don't think they've ever had this conversation, but then again, Canto 5 was a really long time ago, and I can't remember if they actually did have that conversation or not. Maybe it's an implied conversation, or they didn't even have a conversation at all, and Heathcliff just knew that Dante knew, or... I feel like Heathcliff would react a bit more if he didn't know that Dante knew. So I assume he already knew this. It's fine, Clockhead, at least you remember. That's good enough, innit? It had to be the Golden Bow's influence. Somewhere along the way, everyone's memories of the events at Wuthering Heights had become warped. After she literally erased herself from existence. The sinners seemed to think that the Golden Bow had always been there in that manner, and that Nellie was coaxed into stealing it by Herman. Linton, in their minds, was now a grieving brother who had been conducting research for his dead sister's sake. Isn't Linton dead? Nobody questioned it. Not Don Quixote, not Faust. Every single sinner believed the twisted version of the memory as if it was a proven fact. Heathcliff and I gave up trying to correct them. Instead, we just check in on each other's memories every now and then. Because if there's something that he and I realized, it was that anything tied to Catherine had already been painted over. Every detail gilded and glossed over with the glow of the bow. The point is, how should I put this? The circumstances of that funeral didn't exactly leave us much room to properly express our condolences back then. Also, there was a lot of fighting. Also, there was literally an unending army of the dead led by Heathcliff? Between Heathcliff running on a rampage and that Hindley guy bent on interfering with the execution of the will, I assume that sort of impediment was pretty common stuff for funerals, but apparently not, huh? Only rich people funerals. Normal people funerals sometimes have drama, but not as much. Or at least not as high scale, anyway. No, well, I think it's actually rare to see a place that follows proper funeral procedures. I've traveled around quite a bit myself when I was a sailor, but I can't confidently say that I've ever been to a legitimate funeral. Like I said, we tossed them over the edge. The one at Wuthering Heights is one of the more proper funerals, if only for pretending to have a process. They at least prepared a coffin, and even had a formal reading of the will. The thing is, weren't those Oofy Association people not even Oofy Association people? They were like, I want to say ring members? I can't remember, it's been a long time. But I swear they were not Oofy at all. Like they were pretending. It seems funerals are far from being an everyday custom in the city. I presume that so many people die that if we had funerals for every single one, no one would ever get anything done. Funerals are considered a rather extravagant practice here as well. Corporations are not eager to grant time offs just because an irrelevant someone has died, and the price of real estate seldom makes it viable to buy land and erect memorial houses on it. However, then what other options do people usually have? Cremation, I assume. We used to just leave them where they died, and after one night's sleep, the bodies were gone, just like that. Right, sweepers. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. They've done it. They've created a perfect society where fly tipping is not a thing. You can leave shit wherever you want and it will be gone the next day. I always liked the idea, and I think it was kind of brought up in the book entries in Library of Ruina, but the idea that like one of the best assassination methods is to murder someone and leave their body on the street at like fucking 2:30 in the morning and just wait for the sweepers to show up. But I picture this hilarious circumstance of multiple syndicate members, like one assassinates the other, who is then assassinated by someone else, who is then a line of them all assassinating each other one after the other, trying to get their target to be outside on the road for when the sweepers show up, and it's just this massive chain of criminals all murdering each other at the right time. Better than paying loads of money to bury him somewhere just to have that stir up a load of daft rumors, eh? Not that he's bitter or anything. Rumors? You know, rumors about there being valuables buried with the bodies, or an arm being some fancy prosthesis, all that rot. Oh yeah, grave robbers, sure. Yeah, because anyone in the city who has a grave is probably rich enough to be rich, and therefore their tomb would be worth plundering. Some of us would call that a quest, others would call it morally bankrupt, and the British History Museum would call it Tuesday. Better to let the dead go in peace than to bury them in a grave, just for some sods to later desecrate it. In Hongyan, people tend to set up graves if they have enough room to spare. Of course, there wasn't a guarantee they wouldn't lose the burial room by the next restructuring day, which probably ended up with literally dead people just falling out of buildings. Hohenheim scoffed and hung his head. Otiose foolishness, all of it. Never seen that word before. Comforting the soul of the departed, another mendacity. All those funds so carelessly squandered, all for the purpose of furnishing the living with a fragile excuse to cling on. Are those words from his heart or something said to convince himself? Whichever was the truth, I couldn't see the look on his face with his head tucked so low and his glasses doing that anime thing. The funeral didn't last long. It was just a brief moment of silence followed by a few quick goodbyes that were shorter still. The ceremony came to a close once Alyssa, who was still in recovery, came to pay her final respects. The flames devoured the coffins of Martin and the other researchers, announcing the end of their existence with the crackle of firewood. So I suppose you'll be leaving now? I mean, we've been here a fucking while. Oh. We're staying until Gregor's stable enough to travel. He's still got big problems, having turned into a cockroach god and all that. Dante says we'll remain here until Gregor's condition settles. Gregor came to his senses again a few days after his unforeseen metamorphosis in the battle against the Thumb Nurse Father. I wonder what the author of that book would think if they saw this. I don't mean that in a bad way. I'd just be really fucking curious. Actually, I'd be curious in many instances. Like, of the authors, the original authors, seeing their work adapted in this manner. He was given a checkup and Hohenheim said there was no cause for concern. Physically, that is. The psychological assessment turned up disastrous, to say the least. Gregor was declared unfit for combat deployment for the time being. Finally, after 9 cantos, someone finally looked at Gregor and went, this guy ain't doing very well. Maybe he should have some time off. 9 cantos, and finally a professional looks at him and goes, Jesus Christ, he's not fit for combat. He's not fit to walk down the street. So you won't be leaving just yet. Good to know. Then I assume you'll be okay with us borrowing Sinclair for a while? Sure. Huh? Me? But I am just a small bean. Yes, you. The LCE wants to look into the sign you manifested, Sinclair. You kind of summoned yourself from the future. The higher-ups didn't waste a second green-lighting the project, which means what I'm telling you is more a notice of investigation than a request for permission. We will be borrowing Sinclair. Oh, investigation! It's just a rather rudimentary instance of human experimentation. Calm yourself. We're just going to poke you with knives. Calm down. Human experimentation? Did you really have to put it like that, boss? Well, not to worry, Sinclair. A swipe or two on your skin and maybe some talk therapy. That's all there is to it. And putting you in mortal danger to see if you'll summon your future self again. Of course, if we had your consent, the avenues of research could be vastly... No, I'm not giving you my consent. For your reference, the other departments have also submitted some quite enthusiastic requests for research and observational purposes. Oh, you have no idea. We had to get Boss to fend off the LCA's Mirror World Observatorium department and their hissy fits. They wanted to be the first one to get their hands on you and spearhead the research, you see. Haha. And had we allowed them, they'd have kept you for a good few months before letting you go. So the least you could do is thank us and be a good boy and cooperate. Ah, just in time, our researchers are here. At the funeral? Alyssa waved at the researchers who were filing out of the funeral hall after paying their respects. It wasn't long before Sinclair found himself surrounded on all sides. But wait, I'm perfectly capable of walking there on my own, so just don't run any painful tests on me. Of course, of course. Stay strong, Sinclair. All I could do was offer an unspoken encouragement to Sinclair, who sounded ready to collapse into full-blown panic any minute. What about you? You not going with him? Oh, I expect a long-term recovery ward for me. I got really fucked up in that fight, you know. I always thought scientific research was the one thing that flamed my passion, but with the recent events having introduced me to the merits of paid sick leave, I realized that time off beats research projects in my book, marginally. Enjoyed by the lasts, I highly suspect that every request for PTO submitted by our department will be rejected for the rest of the year. Well, it's true, your average corporation doesn't give more than a week off a year. As soon as Alyssa trudged off of her dragging steps, the researcher seized Sinclair and whisked, carried really, him away. Alright, we should get going too. To where? To do what? We're just hanging about until Gregor recovers and Sinclair is probed, I suppose. Oh, do you all have somewhere else to be? Oh, terribly sorry if your manager is keeping you busy. Well, I thought I'd go visit Gregor. I'm worried about him. We should really hang out with him. He's having a rough time. Got something I said I dealt with. Gotta be there for it. I'm going with Sinclair to get some rest. Also to keep an eye on the researchers and stop them if they try anything fishy with the experiments. I'll know if it's fishy. I was a sailor. Let me know later if you need anything, Dante. The Sin is fanned out in different directions. They seem to have their own errands to run during our stay at the LCE. Also, we're not in danger as far as we're aware, so why would we all stick together? Everyone's busy with their own thing. I can't even talk to anyone. Ryoshu! I've always considered us best friends. The only one keeping me company now were Ryoshu, who'd been filling the air around thick with cigarette smoke, and Don Quixote, who was sniffing and asking around at every corner for Vesper in a valiant quest for the new color fixer's whereabouts. I'm sure he's taking visitors at this time. Faust was still here too, staring blankly into the air. Is she accessing the gazelle shaft? You seem to have some time to spare, manager. Yeah, it makes a nice change. As I stood there wondering what I should do next to pass the time, Hohenheim, who had apparently finished tackling and signing the stack of papers, walked over to me. This makes things rather convenient. There is something I had intended to discuss with you and Ryoshu, a matter that requires your assistance. What kind of assistance? Hey kid, I'm on my break, do you mind? What kind of assistance, says Clockhead. Thank you, Ryoshu. Can't remember the last time she translated. It was probably in Canto 9, I just don't remember the specifics. Wait a minute, did Ryoshu just step in as my interpreter? It's not that I don't appreciate her gesture, especially since she'd usually snap at me and tell me to find someone else to interpret whenever the issue came up. But I can't help but doubt whether her choice method of interpretation actually accomplishes anything. Hohenheim, how good are your acronyms? There is, I must admit, a certain novelty in witnessing the reconstitution of that which requires interpretation into yet another linguistic form equally demanding of it. The attempt to simplify a series of words requiring even more comprehension than just using the sequence of words, yes? It would seem we are in need of more manpower. Get Vesper in here, please. Scratching his head, Hohenheim looked around for a moment before coming to a sudden pause. His own idea had crossed his mind. At the end of his gaze was a certain someone who was busy badgering LCCA employees with her relentless questioning. It is Don Quixote, yes. Who else, pray, might know where he is if thou knowest not? Now listen closely. The one I seek is a bearer of hair fashioned in the likeness of a bowl. You there, why don't you join us too? Dost thou speak of me? The LCCA personnel, who were cornered by Don Quixote in her rather forceful interrogation regarding Vesper's whereabouts, took the opportunity and fled the scene without so much as a backward glance the moment their captor turned her head to answer Hohenheim. Indeed, there is a task that requires your assistance. I hope you don't use acronyms much. But I have yet more words to trade with the most noble Yellow Harpoon. You seek to emulate the virtue of chivalry. Does that entail turning down the earnest plea of those in need? For the sake of clarity and distinction, it would be prudent to assign you a different identifier from that of my assistant. You are to be number 2. That is, assistant number 2. I have not yet concluded my exchange with the Yellow Harpoon, but no true knight would abandon those who call for aid. Pray, speak of thy quest. How may I be of service to thee? Delegating the interpretation of the manager's speech to Sinner number 4 has proven to be counterproductive. As such, your task will be to report to me what the manager says. Oh, that is indeed a simple task. However, this WKOA eludeth mine understanding as well. Prithee, allow me but a little time to uncover its mystery. Or Dante could just repeat themselves, but apparently they won't. Relay the manager's words, not Ryoshu's. Yes, Faust. Well, are we being too jovial over here for you? They're asking you what kind of assistance you need. The request for interpretation was not directed to you, but I cannot deny that your meddling in the present circumstance is a welcome one. It was simply that the irrationality and inefficiency of your suboptimal staffing choice and workflow have become sufficiently unbearable. Faust hopes this was not some guileful scheme devised to elicit Faust's cooperation. In any case, manager, this request of mine concerns an investigation into the back doors located in the House of Spiders. Oh yeah, they do have those, don't they? I deemed that the two of you should be the ones most familiar with the structure and layout of the house. After all, you are the one monitoring the entirety of the five-pronged assault operation, and Sinner 4's familiarity does not bear repeating. Do we go to the House of Spiders right away? Is Rienne's corpse still there? Hostra? Nope, I have no idea. You have assisted enough. Oh, she did. Right, okay, sorry. That really took me a moment. House of Spiders right away. Okay, alright. Took me a moment. Perhaps you could help, Faust? Sure. Although not word for word, Faust relayed my intention to Hohenheim, who responded by shaking his head. Not immediately, no. There is one more member you should bring along. One more member? Is it Merceau? Seeing me tilting my head, Hohenheim pushed up his glasses. The apprentice who was captured alive in the House of Spiders. Ah. How's she doing, by the way? Kira, she has regained consciousness. Has she regained her lower part of her body? Because I'm pretty sure she got cut in half. I guess we're about to find out, yes? I can enjoy following these threads, seeing where they go. Survivor. Well, this could apply to a lot of people. It probably means Kira in this specific circumstance, but... The place Hohenheim led us to looked less like a recovery ward and more like an interrogation chamber. She was an active enemy combatant not 10 minutes ago. Though every single medical equipment installed around seemed to be state-of-the-art. It would have to be. This place looks well equipped. Probably a direct order from upper management. Although technologies to restore lost body parts are common enough in the city, a facility of this kind is required to preserve the original form of her lower body in the reconstruction process while keeping the cost reasonable. Oh, so is this literally not to replace her lower body, but to fucking put her back together? The implication being this can be done elsewhere, but it's fucking risky and expensive. And this is the best combination of cost effectiveness versus risk management, yes? Reasonable, huh? Do I want to ask how expensive the other options are if this all counts as reasonable? A windowless room, thick with the sharp scent of medicine and chemicals. And no TV, damn. Starting to torture early, I see. She seems to be doing well, though. She has legs. Kira was sitting on the bed at the center of the room, kicking her feet as she regarded us. For someone recovering from bisection, she didn't look much different from how she'd appeared when I'd seen her through the sinner's shared vision. I'm sure this will be a fruitful conversation. She was captured alive for the extraction of information, yes? How far along is the progress of the extraction? Probably 0. It hasn't begun yet, actually. We are waiting until the lines of information that warrant questioning can be isolated. So far, all available personnel have been fully engaged in analyzing the documents and items discovered in the House of Spiders. So she's been repaired and kind of left to it, I guess. Then what's she even doing here? There is work to be done contingent upon information obtainable only from a recent inhabitant of the House of Spiders. And following a discussion with the upper management, I've decided to put you to use as the company had originally intended. No TV, no comic books, just a super prickly glare and a cold shoulder whenever I ask for something to pass the time. Yeah, that was my first thought immediately, as they've given her literally no activities, no stimulation. She's a child, a teenager, maybe even a late teenager for sure, but for all intents and purposes, still a child. And this is where a fucking document comes out saying, Kira, age 24, and I'm like, fuck off. There's no way. That'd be ridiculous. And now you suddenly need my help, huh? Give me one reason I should cooperate. Hohenheim didn't so much as twitch an eyebrow at Kira's biting tone. He merely gave her a nod with a steely, imperturbable expression. I didn't ask for your help. Put you to use, I believe, is what I said. Your survival is not incidental. It is the result of a calculation. The company anticipates a potential profit by keeping you alive. Expected gain, as the term goes. I'm curious as to how effective this line of persuasion will be. Without such a forecast on the company's part, you would have already been disposed of. The upper management consists of people who would be disinclined to tolerate the daily maintenance and depreciation costs of this room, even at half their current numbers. Which brings us to our next point. Should you insist on maintaining this uncooperative attitude, the company may decide to convene a meeting to reassess your worth, or shall we say, lack thereof, in its projected income statement. You might be thrown out with the bathwater, as it turns out. Well, suffice to say that such a reassessment would skew heavily against your favor. The outcome would be a recommendation for immediate disposal. Hohenheim always had a way with words that could prickle and sting. I like it because Hohenheim is not charismatic, but he's very good with words. I guess you could argue that that's its own form of charisma, but I'm just not sure I would describe it as such. He's not charismatic, but he's very good at persuasion. He would have high persuasion rolls with low charisma. He's not likable, he's not charming. Well, he is from an audience perspective, but not from like a character-to-character perspective. But he is very good. Maybe he'd get higher, maybe he'd get more on like coercion or intimidation as opposed to persuasion. My point is that his charisma is very low, but he's very good at achieving a desired outcome by talking to someone. It's interesting. But with Kira, it almost felt as if he traded the usual thorn off for a sharpened knife, intent on twisting it right where it hurt. Considering she is the one living representation of the attack that claimed the lives of his co-workers, I know he's not really inclined toward being too emotional, but he is still susceptible. I'm dead meat as soon as my usefulness runs out anyway. It's not like you're gonna let me live, not after I killed a bazillion of your guys. Ah, the cynicism counter is effective. Ah, so you anticipated some form of a corporate-level retaliatory response against your person. That is indeed a curious line of reasoning. Then I must tell you that, unlike your typical backstreet syndicates such as the Middle, corporate entities of the city tend to avoid choices that may incur losses. The value of the information that could be extracted from an apprentice of the Middle and the combat prowess honed under the tutelage of a great brother of the Middle, these two considerations are likely what increased your value in the eyes of the company. Ah, y'all got zero self-respect, huh? We're a company. So yes. Obviously. You should consider yourself fortunate. Huh? Heck you on about? Other companies would not solicit your cooperation by means of verbal exchange. Your interrogator would simply open your cranium, harvest your brain, and extract any and all necessary information without going through intermediary steps such as this. Even without resorting to such methods, the range of available means to compel the disclosure of information is practically limitless. Truth serums, hypnotic suggestions, electrical shocks, and stimulations, and of course procedures utilizing distortions and abnormalities. That being said, the LCE department prefers to distance itself from such uncivilized approaches that may entail complications and after effects. It can be a little bit grisly around here, Kira. I like your faction, by the way, prisoner. I do hope that we share a similar predilection. So freaking annoying, you know that, mister? And he's like, I fucking damn well do, yes. And he struts out of the room. The feeling is entirely mutual. Leaving the biting chill of his threats to sink in, Hohenheim turned towards the exit. Give us some push and bring her along. I don't quite seem to be myself today. No, disregard that. That too was a rather foolish thing to say. I will defer this matter to you, manager. Work of this sort likely falls more within your capabilities than my own, especially considering your lack of ability to talk. And with that, Hohenheim stepped out of the room, leaving me to deal with Kira. Sure. His reaction was understandable. The LCE had only just finished laying its dead researchers to rest. Kira was probably the last person anyone would want to face right now, much less speak to. What should I even say to persuade her? I don't know. Puff. I was still caught in thought when someone quite unexpectedly made her way to Kira. Ah, yes. Siblings, technically. Yo, Shahide. Yo, Shahide! You. Heard you got stabbed in the back by Matthias. Yup. That's not true. Actually, sorry, Kira, you're right. You weren't stabbed in the back. You were cut in half in the back. Papa wasn't landing a fatal blow unless he cut through me too. That's why he did exactly that, to aim for the enemy's head. But he didn't kill him, Kira. The only person he nearly killed was you. Besides, he made the right choice. A little sacrifice ain't a thing in a family. Ah, family coming from him, a middle mutt thrown out of his kennel. Doesn't it sound ridiculous even to you? That's... thrown out? That fucker Matthias was a GB only by technicality. Interesting. He fucked up badly. He was still family by name, but underneath it, everyone hoped he'd disappear quietly on his own. He was that family member nobody wanted around. Ah, the weird uncle. It's always either the weird uncle or the troubled cousin. Same treatment for me, being his brat. Not surprising it's the ST for the bowl cut too. Same tastes? Oh, young Ryoshu, could it be that thou also dost harbor a passionate zeal for I quickly clapped a hand over Don Quixote's mouth as she smoothly chimed into the conversation with all the slickness of a freight train that wasn't running on a track. So what exactly is your point? The point is you're taking too long. If you can't decide whether you want to live or die, I can shorten the hesitation. Yes, CQ, or I'll snap your neck clean. What does that mean? You're a kid, don't you know acronyms? Cooperate quietly or I'll snack your neck completely right this instant. Why do I think it's clean? It's not clean, it's completely. Damn you, Ryoshu, I don't understand you. SYNC isn't such a bad way to go if you're keen on taking that loyalty act straight to the grave. It's just so crappy. Whatever, I get it, okay? I'll talk if that's what you want so bad. That actually works. You can't be surprised that Ryoshu's good at interrogation. She was trained by 5, assassin criminals. Fixers who go out in a blaze of glory aren't actually the strong ones. It's the ones who survive, the ones who live to see another day and keep getting stronger. Anyway, Yoshihide, what's up with you talking in weird-ass abbreviations? Does Ryoshu remember? Like, sync? That's so random. Who even says that? Ryoshu didn't bother to reply and simply chewed on the mouth end of her cigarette. Is this really the right call? To her, we're probably people she needs to settle the score with. As if. Half her tattoos are gone, Clock. They even confiscated her book. You think the middle sorry excuse for loyalty means so much for this stray that she'd bite us? Besides, nah, better hear it from her instead. Hey, tell me why Matthias kicked the bucket. That's cause Papa was weaker than y'all. There you go. Except he really wasn't, actually. Individually, I think he was stronger than everyone who fought him. Maybe Vesper could have taken him one-on-one. Maybe. But I honestly think Matthias had the edge. Because, it took 5 of us. Was it 5? I might have even been 6. Yeah, I think it was 6. 6 of us. Including a color fixer. Was Matthias the strongest one? I think he was. I'm pretty sure he was the strongest nurse father. The sad thing is, the weakest nurse father in head-to-head combat, bearing in mind we're not taking other forms of operations into consideration. We're not taking stealth or ambush or all that crap. In terms of a one-on-one head-to-head fight, the weakest was either the DOE Star or Rien. Those two were actually the weakest. Of course, I'm only going by stats, you understand, gameplay stats, but people do frequently like to reinforce the fact that those stats do reflect canon in terms of strength. Thing is, of course, is that the only thing Matthias could do was fight. He couldn't do anything. He was not really suited to doing anything else, whereas Rien had a lot of different skills. DOE Star had a lot going on. It's not so... Although, actually, it would either be Matthias or Valentina. Valentina was really strong. I actually... Let me know what you think. I can't remember Valentina and Matthias' stats right off the top of my head, so it's kind of hard to compare them directly, but going by the fights themselves, I might give it to Matthias, but it would be close. Let me know what you think. Or what you know, I guess. Yeah, you're the jerk's brat, alright. Kira pushed herself up from the bed with a sour face, but at least she didn't argue back. And we called Hohenheim, who'd been waiting outside, back in. I assume the prisoner was successfully persuaded. Come, you will find your weapon on the table. You may use it in the event of an emergency. What the hell? I can't even unsheath it. You won't be able to use it without authorization. The code has been slightly adjusted. Now then, let's head to the House of Spiders at once. The back door is up and waiting for us. Fun times. I love a good expedition. We made our way to the House of Spiders, with Kira trailing behind us, looking like she was smelling something particularly fishy on us, which is weird because Ishmael's not here. I am of the belief that if you spend long enough out at sea, you just never get the smell of fish off you. Ever. It just follows you around forever. Wayfarer. Clear within 10 turns. Unknown opponents. So, I did the checkup bot GAC off camera. Managed to EX it all, despite the fact that that fucking sloth Picatulum fight is an absolute motherfucker, although it turns out multi-crack Faust is really good for that. But, yeah, I actually got into some tough scrapes during that intervallo. Like, that bot GAC made that intervallo considerably harder. I finally got to let Red Eyes Ryoshu off the leash, and fucking hell is she strong. Holy shit, she's really powerful. Like, really, really powerful. Ah, it's the bitch-ass gallery. Only a few days had passed since our last visit, but the place looked markedly different from what we remembered. Lots of fucking do not cross tape. The size of the hollow, frigid atmosphere and the endless stretch of corridors hadn't changed. I like how these are just not literally shitty versions of the tracks we heard while we were there, but like distorted an audio representation of the fall of what once was. But Callisto's so-called artworks were now covered in white sheets, and unfamiliar devices were affixed all around the back doors. So would you say that the sequence of rules, regulations, and actions taken to quarantine his space and his works could be considered the Callisto Protocol? That's not funny, but it is to me. I guess he didn't get his chicken dinner, huh? Prithee, who might those people thither be? Such a goofy looking fucker. Why has he got a fucking Waluigi patch? Wah. I see how it is. They didn't let you into Smash Bros, so you had to break into Limbus Company? Looks like some shady bastards moved in already. Our guarded reaction prompted Hohenheim to step forward and gesture to one of the oddly dressed figures. It seems introductions are in order for both sides, as Ryoshu is literally about to decapitate someone. This is team leader Alan from Wayfarer Company, who will be working with us on the investigation into the house's back doors. Wayfarer Company, that's a good name. Wayfarer Company. Alan. I remember I went to a Games Workshop once with a friend, and the shopkeeper came up to us and I introduced himself and was like, what's your name? I was like, oh, it's Adam. And he goes, Alan, good to meet you. And I was like, no, but... And then he just called me Alan for the rest of the day. It really pissed me off. Nice guy. Needs to get the fucking miniatures out of his ears, though. A corporate entity partnered with Limbus Company responsible for providing portal technology. It has, on prior occasion, been referred to as the new or aspirant W Corp. Of course, Wayfarer, yeah. Though the name is an unofficial one, I guess Warp Corp hasn't fallen yet. It's just on its way down. Our employer is supposed to take it to calling you the real Elcorp, so like we have in common, given that we're both chasing after the same horizon. It's me, Alan. Are we going to be best buddies with Wayfarer Company, or are they going to be our biggest rivals? I'm not. I refuse to acknowledge someone as my biggest rival if they're wearing that. Not with your Waluigi-ass patch. Fuck off. Oh, come on, man. I remember now, that company vying to take W Corp's place, right? The same horizon. He's probably talking about getting recognized as a wing. After all, the old L Corp has already fallen, while W Corp, from what I've heard, is free-falling at this point. Oh, those poor fuckers. The identities are still good, though. W Corp Otis could literally hold the company up by herself. And these are the manager and the sinners of the LCB department, our field operations unit, frequently deployed to deal with the on-site matters firsthand. You can tell because one of them nearly killed you. They have more personnel, but the rest are tied up with other duties elsewhere. Only a handful will be joining this investigation effort. I understand field operations units are always unstaffed anyway, so support is provided is more than sufficient. Ah, is it that fucker? I saw long hair and glasses, and my brain immediately jumped to that fucker from Canto 1. Alan gave an understanding nod. The man slipped off his bulky helmet before extending his hand in greeting. Ah, I'm so glad I've gotten rid of that helmet. Pleased to make your acquaintance. The name's Alan, Lord Leader of Door Breach Team 4. Likewise. Before Faust could even relay my reciprocal greeting, words spilled out of Alan's mouth in a strangely uneven rhythm, as if my ticking didn't bother him at all, like he was sticking to a script he had rehearsed. I fucking hate. Right. Surely some of you have met people like this before in real life. I seem to meet them all the fucking time. What I hate is talking to people who clearly have a script that they follow in conversation. Now, there are differences, right? Because on the one hand, there's the customer service aspect of it, right? Where, you know, you call up fucking customer service line, or you go to a customer service fucking desk in a shop. That's different. They are literally following a script, because if they don't follow the script, they're fired. That is different, right? That's them sitting there going, man, I wish I could fucking deviate from this script and help you, but I can't, because I need this job for money. That, I want to preface, is entirely fucking different, okay? When I say people who stick to a script, I mean you talk to someone, or more often than not, they come up and talk to you, and you're like, oh yeah, and you say something, and it's so clear that they did not make room in their script for whatever the fuck you just said. And they just basically pretend you didn't say it and just plow on with whatever the fuck they were going to say. The moment that always gets me, because I am a little bit weird. I acknowledge this. I'm not very good socially. I do my best, and I don't let it bother me anymore. But I'm not great socially in person, to be honest. But the bit that gets me is when I'm talking to someone who clearly has this script, and I say something, and it becomes so clear that they can't reconcile what I just said with the script that they've put in their head for how this conversation's going to go. And you see their brain stop for a moment. You see the confusion. And I should clarify, I don't go up to people and say weird shit, okay? I'm not going up to people and being like, why is the sky green today? No, I'm just making conversation. Maybe a little bit more than small talk, but not by much. But it just doesn't seem to gel with what they want. To be fair, this is probably a me problem. I'll put my hands up and say that's probably the case. Perfectly willing to accept that. But it frustrates me when I'm in a conversation with someone and it seems like there's a script that they've gotten and I haven't, right? It feels like we're on stage, they've said their lines, I've responded to them, and they've gone, what the fuck, dude, that's not on the script. And I'm like, what script? I didn't get a copy. I'm just talking. I'm sorry to derail the video, but that is a thought process that I really kind of analyzed the other day. And it's weird that I had an excuse to bring it up right now. Yes, please go on, Alan. Please, regale us with your script. I've heard great things about you, Manager Dante of Limbus Company, and the bus team's performance. You capitalized on the suppression of distortions at T-Corp as leverage to push your products, and the profits were nothing short of staggering, I heard. Oh yeah, we're supposed to be distortion resolving specialists to the public, but what's that product part about? The manager says it was merely a matter of luck. They also look forward to working with you on this task. Thank you, Faust. Me and Dante have a lot in common. They didn't get the script either. Oh, are you the interpreter? In that case, I'll be sure to consult the manager only when both of you are available. Sure. Faust didn't seem particularly pleased with the role Alan had pinned on her, but she nodded anyway. She quietly came to my side and answered my earlier question while Alan carried on with Hohenheim. He is referring to the Monolith sales project. The credit was attributed to the LCB at the express request of Mr. Hubert, T-Corp's executive director. Ah, Hubert, yes. Oh, so that's how the rumor spread, huh? We've reviewed the agreements. Now, I understand you'll be assisting in verifying what lies beyond the back doors. I'd appreciate it if you could share any prior knowledge you have about where these back doors connect, as detailed as you can make them, if you don't mind. Hohenheim fixed Kira with a pointed look. Though Kira responded by defiantly cocking her head in a show of irritation, she still gave up a sliver of the information she had. Honestly, I've pretty much got nothing, if it's about Robo-Unk and his room. I mean, I've seen Albina hit up that door and the other one over there when she was popping out to farm stuff, but... Farm? Error. Does not compute. Oh, it's, gathering material. I see. What kind of material? Human guts and all that. She'd come back hauling piles of them. So they're probably connected to some back streets area. The back streets? Any more details? Can you stop prying? You're low-key pissing me off. Wow, that's literally all I've got, for real. For a moment, Alan leveled Kira with a stiff expression. And even before I could register what had happened, Kira's head jerked to the side from a sudden punch by Alan. What the fuck? I mean, I don't know what Hohenheim and what our higher-ups necessarily want from this circumstance, but I personally, as the manager Esquire, give Kira full permission to rip his fucking head off. I thought Kira was nimble enough to dodge a surprise attack easily, but this one seemed to have caught her completely off guard. She stood there blinking, eyes round in rude surprise. Actually, it wasn't that he caught her off guard, it was the motion of the punch itself that somehow fell off, the fist being raised, the arm being extended, the blow making contact, the chain of actions was there, but it just didn't look normal. As if he's some kind of weird puppet man. Did you just hit me? What the hell's wrong with... As Kira reeled from the unexpected strike, Don Quixote spoke up in a cold, sharp tone. Thou, what manner of discourtesy is this? Ah, with all that whining, I thought the brat could use a lesson to remind her of her place. I had no intention of damaging your company asset, of course. I simply assumed the level of warning would not be inappropriate in this case. He's literally a protocol droid. I don't know why Hohenheim existing in this moment is funny to me, but it is. Team leader Alan. That sort of conduct may not be an issue in your organization, but it is here. Should it happen again, do understand that we may choose to terminate today's joint engagement without delay. My apologies, I will keep that in mind going forward. Alan stood down without arguing back, but Kira looked far from satisfied with how Hohenheim handled the situation. Yeah, we should rip his head off. He gets to sock me in the face and walk off scot-free. You are a prisoner, to be fair. Like, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it at all, but... You are a prisoner. And this is the city. So frickin' annoying. Fortunately enough, her grumbling didn't escalate into her lashing out at Alan, because there wouldn't be anything of him left if she did. That punch just now, though, what was that? It exhibited a behavior that defied the standard laws of physics. Maybe that's just their singularity thing? I don't know if it's necessarily a singularity yet, but their thing, I guess. Presumably a form of technology utilized by Way4 Company. There you go. Let us resume the task at hand. Cineriyoshu, give Manager Alan whatever information you have. That door should lead to one of the ring-protected turfs. The other two on the left, I remember they were marked with an X painted with blood. But where they actually lead, it's all blurry. It seems that's all the information we can provide. Will that suffice? We now know that the doors likely connect to a perceivable area. That's already a big improvement in terms of intel for Wayfarer Company's backdoor mapping progress. If it's not clear, I'm speaking like someone who I would imagine would sound like if they just used company buzzwords. You know, attempts at human emotion, but it's not there. Which means there's less chance of us encountering a space beyond human perception past those doors. Alright then, I'll proceed with connection verification. Which door shall we test first? We'll start with the one Cineriyoshu mentioned. Ah, you don't trust me at all, huh? Then why even bring me along? We have to get some use out of you, goddamn. Ignoring Kira's jab, Alan began setting up various devices on the door, and soon an elegant white door opened before us. Shall we? Art thou joining us as well, young Hohenheim? Just this once. There are procedures for handing over field operations. Alright, let's see what's in there. Oh boy, horrors beyond my comprehension! Kinda. Is this some kind of wildlife exhibit? A little bit. Is that supposed to be a whale? The moment we stepped in, the lights hit us all at once, drawing squints and frowns from the sinners. Thanks to my lack of physical eyes, I could make out a room filled with statues, or perhaps taxidermied animals. It felt like a gallery of sorts, but it was so quiet that the air itself seemed to carry a strange, somber weight. After a moment, someone shattered the silence, but it wasn't Don Quixote, our usual suspect. Holy shit, the scale's just insane. That's the whale from A Association Great Lakes Special Issue. Ooh. Kira, who'd seemed beaten down all along, exclaimed with a bit more energy in her voice. Man, seeing it all in real life sure hits different. And the Indigo Elder solo one-shots these monsters with that harpoon of his, huh? I don't know necessarily about that. Unless the whale we went up against was especially big. Actually, of course it is, because these are to scale, and to scale, the whale from fucking Canto 5 would not fit in this room. It's a Great Lake whale. It doesn't look like one we've encountered, though. Organisms of various sources can be identified here. Singularity modified, outskirts born. They almost look alive. They're not, right? No, they're not. Duh. Though Robot Unk did say that the ring has these zoos where they put monsters on display alive. Did you just understand, Dante? Man, this would have been way more fun if we could see the moving ones. Ering is dead. Still looks crazy sick, though. The vibe really hits. Even though she was trying to play it cool, Kira kept sneaking glances at the massive horn display off to the side, clearly surprised in a way she couldn't hide. That said, I felt a distinct shortage of hyperactivity given the presence of a certain someone in our party. Ah, Don Quixote is very mid about this. Don Quixote? The eye of a second kindred of House Tepes. What is it doing here? Oh. Lad Tepes, you say? At the mention of the word kindred, I couldn't help but follow Don Quixote's gaze. Opposite the well was another kind of exhibit. It contained items leaning on the more gruesome side of things, sighing with a crimson eyeball that caught Don Quixote's attention, and body parts like hands and bones that looked as though it had been stripped from the human body. So they literally have a blood fiend on display? It's a gallery. Of the school of Fauvism. Fauvism? Fauvism? Sure. Probably a main studio at that, which comes with a maestro's atelier and an auction house. Alan, we'll be making our exit shortly. Please prepare to initiate lockdown sequence. Before Hohenheim could even finish his urgent transmission, numerous footsteps closed in from somewhere nearby. Ah, we're in a bad place. How about that? Sea druids! City druids, if the druids were also featured in Hotline Miami, I suppose. Turning toward the sound of shoes clacking on the floor, we found strange figures wearing animal masks staring directly at us. Hey, Kira, you want to use that sword, maybe? That presence, it's kind of like Papa's. Ain't no way, that's not a raid boss we can clear at our level. We gotta get out of here. It's not that simple. Retreating is not a viable solution here. This door is connected to the House of Spiders. Escaping without installing a security system will invite pursuit. We must stall them until Alan is ready to initiate the lockdown sequence. Oh, so we're gonna have a big fight straight away. Okay. As tension thickened, one of the strangers, who wore a peculiar bone mask, stepped forward. The voice that spoke to us carried equal parts curiosity and delight. You came through that door. Then the house is full. Wasn't just a baseless rumor. A stray little spiderling fallen from her parents' web. How many years has it been? Who are you? Sorry if we met. Alright, it makes sense that you would fail to recognize me. I used to wear a different mask back when I used to visit as your tutor, didn't I? A wolf, if memory serves right. Yes, that must have been when I was quite captivated by the sensation of tearing into the raw, still thrashing flesh of living prey, and the predator's ferocious yet cavernously resonant howling. Indeed, you're a furry. Moving on. Rings a bell. You're that maestro whose whole lesson was a 3-hour sermon praising the intensity of primary colors and the strength of living creatures. Benoit, was it? That's right, Emile Benoit, and they say you can't hatch a phoenix from a chicken's egg. Doesn't always apply, I see. Looks like that mind of yours is still as sly as a raven, unlike your nurse father's. Damn, why you gotta be mean to Callisto? Just because they made a shitty horror game about him. Don't presume. I only remember you because the tactility of hides and guts made for a passable AW. At first glance, it looked like Ryoshi was casually taking a trip down memory lane with the maestro. But I had a feeling she was in fact dragging this out on purpose to buy us time. That lockdown sequence thing, how much longer till it's ready? Young Hohenheim, the lockdown sequence! Don Quixote, who had been shooting the ring members an incensed glare sparked by the discovery of a kindred's eye, swiftly relayed my words to Hohenheim without even a hint of her earlier shenanigans. Because the Sancho is poking through. I'm afraid the progress and speed of the lockdown sequence lies in Alan's hands, not mine. It is, by its nature, a time-consuming work. We cannot expect haste. Perhaps that does make this a suitable juncture to trial Plan A. Plan A? You gonna turn into a centipede? Any suggestions that involve Don Quixote removing her shoes will not be dignified of a serious discussion. Instead, maybe what Hohenheim had in mind had nothing to do with Don Quixote's shoes because he opened his mouth as though he was about to retort to Faust's categorical rejection. But the moment he followed Faust's eyes and saw what she was looking at, he quietly shut his mouth and said nothing further. Faith in potentiality is not something I dislike. I wonder why. It's almost as if there's a reason why there was a bot gag for the checkup recently, hey. As for this, however, this seems more like grasping at straws. At the end of their gaze was Ryoshu's blade, Arayashiki. I was gonna try using it anyway. I've long wanted to see if a Maestro's death is any different. Telling them that we were just leaving won't work, will it? No, it won't. Every individual present here would be quite the fascinating specimen to the artists of the ring. We are practically a windfall of inspiration and material that has so conveniently been delivered to them, it is improbable that they will allow us to return unharmed. Faust is right. She and Hohenheim are geniuses, and Ryoshu is the wielder of Arayashiki, and I'm a clock. Don Quixote is a kindred of a higher generation, and I happen to house a golden bow in my head. I have no idea how much information the ring has on us, but even if they know nothing, they wouldn't let us go easily. Are you sure about this, Ryoshu? Doesn't matter if I'm sure about this or not, Clock. Think of that woman as Lei Hang and do as you did in HC's mansion. I'll take care of the rest. Right, that's probably our best shot. What Ryoshu meant was quite clear. Use Hissed's power to fucking calm down their power a bit. Resonate with the Golden Bow, secure an advantage to find equal footing, then catch them off guard by slowing down the flow of time. A cut from the Arayashiki, even if it doesn't give us a real fighting chance, might at least stall the Maestro long enough to give us the time to get away. This floor of the exhibit only houses submissions from students and docents. But if you look closely enough, there are some possible ones that show the promise of excellence. And above all, this is the gallery of the School of Fauvism. And mine, the gallery of Emile Benoit. Which is why I would have preferred to take you without an unnecessary fight if possible. A shame. Still, we're talking about a unique relic here, a masterless one at that. Acquiring the Arayashiki makes it worth the cost. If you want a taste... Oh, she can't use it! Confusion flickered across Ryoshu's face as she tried to unsheath her blade. Now she has to fight with the sheath. But what's wrong? How? The lock the House of Spiders used to bind the Arayashiki no longer exists, so why can't I draw the blade? Now that's unexpected. Damn, that's cinema. So the rumors of you mastering that relic, were they false? Oh, not a question for right now, my friend. The Maestro only gave a loose swing of her arm, but it was enough to make Ryoshu recoil. A shadow of surprise crossed her face. What did I just drop? A large screwy component just fell off of my chair onto the floor. You know, a part that looks like it was holding it together in some important way. I don't know where the fuck it came from. That's probably fine. I wouldn't worry about it. If I suddenly go, though, you'll know why. The wound looked like nothing more than a light gash, yet the Maestro's contemplative gaze shifted between the blood on Ryoshu's arm and her own, as though the attack had been an experiment to prove a hypothesis. It wasn't hard to guess what she was thinking. Notice, did you? I had my doubts from the moment I saw you today. Was the House of Spiders a success or a failure? Well, they're all dead, so what do you think? Tell me, Yoshihide, what do you think a serpent's defining strength is? What do you want about now? Please, explain it in excruciating detail while we get this fucking backdoor to work. Ask any student, they'll give the same predictable answers. The deadly venom, the sleek scales, why it's lamentably disappointing. The Maestro advanced toward us with an assured certainty. Then seized a beige thread dangling from the ceiling. No, calling it a mere thread would be wrong. It was something that resembled a thread, yet felt much more disturbing. I, for one, have a particular liking for the jaw and the spine. The flexibility of the spine linked like a chain, and the jaw bound not by bone but by ligaments that allow the animal to swallow its prey whole. Perhaps I should have said that I admire their structural refinement. The thrice coiled ring on her finger gave off a cold glint, and the walls and the ceiling suddenly began to echo with a sickening squelch and crack of flesh and bones reassembling. What the hell is that? Which brings me to ask, what better way to claim this delivery of promising material with a single bite than a work of art fashioned from a snake? Maestro plunged her arm into the long serpentine body of a monster. Her sheer presence radiated a pressure as oppressive as that of the nurse fathers, only more primal and untempered. Consider it a privilege. This is the first time this piece has ever been exhibited to an outsider. Hohenheim, is the lockdown sequence still not ready? 1 minute to go, step aside. The attack from the ego gear Hohenheim hastily brandished didn't even last a moment. The weapon was knocked from his hand. Ooh. As I scrambled to equip the sinners with their identities, something abruptly stopped the beast-like appendage half midway through its hurtling motion. Go on, Kira, you can do it. And the one who intercepted the blow... Ah, shit. It sucks. Ah, damn. Was Kira struggling to push back against the serpentine arm with her still-sealed blades. Ah, she's using them in the sheath, just like Ryoshu does, right? Parallels. It's a very cool thing to do. Kira, please don't get eaten. It would be a real fucking shame. Did she suddenly have a change of heart I wasn't aware of? Shit, this wasn't part of the plan at all. Obviously not. She couldn't have changed her mind that quickly. Because the look on her face couldn't be anything other than that of utter regret. The middle, for someone who doesn't seem to be a proper member, you've inked quite the quantity of tattoos onto yourself. Ah, you must be the new Kit Matthias took in. Why do you stand in my way? Fucked if I know, I'm already regretting it, alright? Oh, they're definitely gonna ditch me here. Why'd I even... must be instinct taking over. Couldn't fully shake off the opponent's killing intent, so the body chose to clash head on. So the behavioral facet of the psyche can be controlled with suitable training. Unexpected data, but useful to be sure. Oh, shut up! Stop yapping and let me use my swords! Authorized and ready, lifting locks, now. Kira's thermal weapons emerged from their sheaths with a metallic clang. She used the recoil of the motion to skid back and assume a defensive stance. For all the good that will do. Naturally, that broke Benoit's arm from the deadlock as well. The Maestro lashed out again with that monstrous limb, but why are we leaving Kira to solo the fucking Maestro? Someone do something. Huh? 'Tis a foul injustice to strike against an unprepared opponent in a duel. Behold, for I shall allow thee a glimpse of the badass form that only the most renowned of fixers have displayed through the ages. Seeing an opening, Don Quixote slammed into the arm with her full might, knocking it off its trajectory. Predictably, however, the sheer force of the Maestro's attack instantly reduced her to a red sludge of flesh and bone, sending her remains crashing into the door. Ready to initiate lockdown sequence, I will seal the door immediately upon your exit. Door please time now. Faust, retrieve the organic remnants of Sinner 3. As Faust made her exit with what was once Don Quixote, the students of the ring surrounded Kira, barring her way out. A hollow chuckle slipped out of her lips. Fuck that, we gotta save her. Ah, called it for real. This is exactly why I didn't want to get involved. Taking Kira back with us would mean having a sizable force of the ring trail right behind her through the door. Kira, too, seemed to realize the risks that no one in their right mind would want to take. She lowered her head in defeat, as though she knew full well the fate that awaited her. Ah, I'm such a dumbass. What was I thinking diving in like that? Come on, now, we have to save her, otherwise, well, bit of a waste of a character in there. Yeah, don't just stand there, go over here now. But these guys gonna come flooding in if we really don't have time to talk about it. Do you want to get cleaved in half again? It might still happen. You pin this on me later, you're gonna pay. Blocking the Maestro's arm by a hair as it came down on her again, Kira hurled herself toward the door with every bit of strength she could muster. More than a few students rushed in through the doorway, chasing after the sinners who had gone in ahead, but we can take them. Lockdown sequence complete. All backdoor links have been cut. Fortunately, Alan managed to sever the connection between the two back doors before the Maestro could cross over. Ah, bowl cut. Think you could still use your arms? I'm fine. Ha, you're bowl cut. What an idiot. So she says. Kira would be a strong enough addition to fight for us, but the ring members that have managed to cross formed a rather sizable force. Fighting them off with just the sinners I have on my side would not be the best course of action. Time to summon the rest of them-ish. Technically, kinda, not really. In that case... Guys, I assume you're all available right now? As soon as I call out to the sinners, their voice come through Hohenheim's radio one after the other even. I guess so. Ready for your order, Executive Manager. If I notice and prepare to answer your call whenever and wherever. Hang on, I just need to finish this bite. Everyone to me! Let's do this! How many of them will there be? Yeah, we have Kira with us as well, that's fun. Ah, but they're not middle-styled augmentation tattoos anymore. House of Spiders in the middle been crossed out, LCE with a question mark. No middle grudge, just grudge. Okay, pretty simple, no new details there. These guys aren't that tough, probably. I don't know, we'll see. The target does not have mold color blue. Clash power +1. If the middle uses their tattoos for self-augmentation, does that make the ring's tattoos more brands that, when forcibly applied, weaken their enemies? Oh, so they apply tattoos to their opponents as opposed to themselves. There are beasts that fall in and out of vogue with the school of fauvism, yes, but a true artist must take fierce pride in that single animal as the underdrawing which best represents their unique self. Despite this wisdom, however, there are some who flit from beast to beast, as though the self is nothing more than a costume to be worn and discarded. Something to that, perhaps. Well, let's see what we can do. Ah, yes, red immediately. If that's unclashed, then she should probably throw it out because it's a weaker one. See what you can do, lads. Go on, Faust. Go on, Faust. Yes. Even without a decent amount of charge, that is still a solid move. Oh, yes. Throat is killing me. Nice, good finish. It's only the first door and the impediments are already beyond expected levels. No, it was just a fucking maestro. I swear I thought that was it for me back there. Holy shit. Events of this nature won't be frequent. We were merely beset by ill luck. If you just listened to me and picked another door, we would have gotten cooked like that in the first place. Like, why even drag me into this if you weren't going to trust me, weirdos? We would have opened them all at the end of the day. SD, what's that? I have no idea. Same difference. Again, why shorten it like that? Just say duh or something, or just spell it out and say it was anticipated. That's whatever. I don't know what that means. Good work, everyone. Wayfarer does have a team dedicated to this sort of task, but the mortality rate is quite high. Honestly, I was bracing myself for the worst. The odds of completing the first door of an expedition without casualties are under 15%. This, by all measures, counts as a flawless expedition. Tapping away at his device, Alan addressed us with an amicable smile. He seemed totally different from the same man who had manhandled Kira with a fist to her face, who had punched a child. Those Fauvists won't be able to cross over anymore with the door completely locked down, right? That cannot be asserted with certainty. Are you saying more might come? The corridors and back doors have always been the ring's turf clock. And those Fauvists beasts have endured as a long-standing faction within the ring. If they've got that much history, they must know many back doors, both the origin and destination points. Alan clarified what Ryoshi was hinting at. Yes, compared to them, we lack sufficient knowledge of alternate routes, which makes it difficult to prevent infiltration. So you're saying the ring could actually attack Limbus Company at any time? If they found out? We just about fended off the House of Spiders, which was a faction of reject syndicate members. Could we actually fend off a proper syndicate if it decided to go for it? I don't think so. I doubt it somehow. Or at the very least, it would be a massive struggle. No need to concern yourselves over much. Even if that were the case, it is unlikely they would move on the House of Spiders so soon. I'm more worried about Limbus Company, mate, I gotta be honest. They could always rush for a surprise attack, though. Even that Falvist Maestro seemed to lack clear intel on the event that took place in the House of Spiders. If so, it follows that they will need time to assess and deliberate about the situation. The situation? The logical scope of their concerns will be identifying the organizations that has secured the House of Spiders, the possibility of additional traps beyond the back doors, and the like. Once all backdoor-related procedures tied to the House of Spiders are completed, the resulting security framework should be able to preempt and block any infiltration attempts. This operation is more important than I thought. That aside, why couldn't I draw the blade? Or is it the new Scabbard's fault? Maybe Araya's like, no, don't draw the blade. Big bad, don't do it. Ryoshu lifted the sheathed sword with an irritated frown. And that's when I felt a faint vibration. The blade was twitching ever so slightly. That quivering most faint 'twas seen by all indeed. Damn, I saw it too. Is it possessed or something? It's a ghost sword? Well, none of my swords are ghosts, at least I don't think they are. I don't know, I haven't asked them recently. Looks like I wasn't the only one who saw the sword twitching, as though I wasn't pleased at all with how Ryoshu was talking about the scabbard. Ah. Ryoshu's gaze lingered on the sword before slowly shifting toward the back doors. Could it be that seeing the scabbard brought back some memory of Araya? Maybe. Ryoshu, do you... Is it an SS? A demon edge? An enchanted blade? Which is it? It's probably neither of those, nor is it a sentient sword. This presents a fine opportunity to conduct another examination of the sword. Excuse us for a moment. Ow, my elbow, team leader Alan. Hohenheim said as he tried to shuffle past them and accidentally hit the wall. Please feel free to go ahead. The attack just now damaged some devices, so we're going to have to perform some maintenance before continuing. There's plenty of other work for me to do while you're away too. No breaks. Oh boy, I love it. Are we to return to the headquarters research facility then? No, that won't be necessary. There is a facility here that should prove more than adequate. Ah. Oh, well, fucking no. Mystery and intrigue. Fuck Alan. What a stupid douchebag.
승리의 보람과 세상의 아름다움에 대해 들어본 적 있는가? 없어도 전혀 상관없다네. 지금 우리가 보는 경치가 바로 그런 것일 테니.
It's true. That seems like a good start. I shall leave it for today. My throat's fucked. I don't know what's going on. Like, it does sometimes seem like when I get ill and then recover from being ill, it takes a while to go away. Like, I can feel similar feelings of like, oh yeah, my sinuses flared up a bit and throat hurts. I don't know. It's weird. I don't think I'm getting ill again, and I'm going to continue this anyway, because fuck it, but it does mean I have to look after myself a bit more on these recordings, I guess, which is fucking lame, but what are you going to do? Nevertheless, Interval is off to a cool start. I like the stuff that's been happening so far. There's been a lot of good conversation and information, just general exploring of concepts. Having Kira along is great. Glad we didn't abandon her. I was going to get real fucking pissed if we did. The fact that it says LCE question mark on her tags implies to me that she's not going to join the LCE, at least not straight away. But she'll kind of be on the periphery, like, I'll help you guys out maybe now and then perhaps, but I gotta go do my own thing because that's what a cool anime protagonist would do. That'll literally be her reason for doing it. Don't know, we'll see. Looking forward to seeing more. That's all from me for today. Thank you so much for watching. I have to edit this today, fucking hell. Special thanks to our members and patrons, AKFD1M40, Fladen, Uvlaka, A, Anarchy, RZ22, Cosmo, Catty Madness, Boomer2935, Catra Stahl, Red High, Spectrum, The Lord of Moth, Him Percy, Ego, Franklin Merlo, Engi Tapooch, TKV2 Menacing, Boy Bay Red Star, Kim Takeo, Elkavia Calf, Ultraman, Christopher Hoos, Donut, Honor D, Aged Chaos, Geigen, Callie, Prince Lemons, Moon God, Megan, Voltwolf, Miscreant, Drakariku, Crescent, Tony the Horse, Slide Hexara, Bissalanchi, Princeps, Jack Omu, Superstitics, Fireheart, Mighty PH, Encistora, Lanthelion, Gage Johnson, Saga, Rory, Jack Nedshot, Gamer Fox, Grand Captain General Peace, Mean Pappy Bag Turtle, Cuds, Canis Mario, Portrait of Bright, Lifesteal, Unclever Names, Summercat Flanny, Painted Dragoon, Proxy, Caminera, Moa, Harak J, Dresso Slot, Etherbin, Linky, Sion, Sudabin, Bortal, Kier, Honeydew, Sweet Baby Regis, Kitty Tony Pie, Jim Ghost, Apollo by K-Bop, Magic Owl, The Frostbite, and SCP-106A, for support me on YouTube and on Patreon. Thank you so much, guys, and thank you all so much for watching. So door number 1 was a fucking disaster. I can't wait to see what the rest of them do. What's behind door number 2? We'll probably see next time. Wouldn't surprise me. But it's interesting because we're already like 3 parts in, and I'm curious to ascertain as to what the fuck the Intervalo is even about. You know what I mean? Because, you know, the imagery is this. Oh, you can't see it because I've got the fucking end card up, whatever. The imagery, you know, is the files on the table with Arashiki and Sinclair and Gregor, and it's like a corkboard, right? Basically, with thread. But intervalos aren't typically very long. They're usually between like 12 and 14 parts, or chapters perhaps, and we've already done 3. There's nothing to say they couldn't make it a little longer perhaps, but I'm curious to see how they managed to tie all this together. But that's part of the fun, no? Is going through this and seeing how things will turn out. I'm looking forward to it. Hope you are too. I mean, you've probably already seen it, but I hope you're looking forward to us experiencing it together, I guess. Thank you so much for watching. Whatever happens next time, hope I see you there. Toodles. Goodbye.